Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey Podcast, episode 301. Chris, how the heck are you?
I'm doing really, really good, Jason. How are you tonight?
Hey, I can't complain. What day is it? Oh, it's Thursday. Okay, it's a good day.
Every day is the same for
Friday.
you.
It's Friday Eve.
Friday,
so
that's right.
Good stuff, man. Just, I've been fielding a lot of episode 300 comments, a lot of kudos.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, me too. It's gotten a lot of feedback. People are excited and thrilled for us that we managed to last this long, I guess.
Exactly.
So, they like us. They really, really like us.
So we've got a couple special guests here we're going to introduce shortly. Right. But you got any business on your end we need to cover?
No, I think we'll dedicate this episode strictly to our special guests. We have an important message we want to get out to the listeners, and let's roll with that. We'll get back to business next episode.
All right. Without further ado, this we're going to talk about Oceano Dunes.
Great!
Which was formerly called Pismo Dunes. Back in the day when I was frequenting that spot on the Central Coast, not tue far from Fort Jones's place. But
right.
we got two individuals here. So Jim Sudi, founder and president of Friends of Oceano Dunes, and Don Preble, who's the board chairman. So welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, thank you for having us on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So that was Jim's voice. Don, why don't you talk so people know who your voice is? Because there's no visual here on the podcast land.
Okay. Well, no, Jim and I have been at this a long time. Very much appreciate you guys having us on tonight.
Hey, absolutely. Our pleasure.
Absolutely.
So let's get into a little bit of let's get into your guys' history first, because I'm sure there's some background there with off-roading that led you to form this organization and put in countless of volunteer hours and everything. So let's hear about your guys' background in off-roading.
Sure.
You start.
All right. So again, Jim Sudi. I grew up off-roading. Both my parents, both mom and dad, raced Jeeps in the 60s and 70s. So grew up off-roading at the Oceano Dunes, as well as traveled out to Dumont and Glamis and other locations. And always enjoyed going and camping on the beach and enjoying the dunes. As a young kid, I remember being in the back of my dad's Jeep with open headers and sand tires and driving underneath the pier all the way north to Pismo and all the way south down to Devil's Slide and then everywhere in between. So fond memory of enjoying all 20 miles of the coastline and the 18,000 acres that were available.
Wow.
So I was personally devastated as a kid when the closure started happening in 1982. And when that happened, it really shook me up to see all the fences going up, the closures, and then later I was running an online magazine while working and raising a family, and this was before podcasts, and it was called extremebuggies.com, and I was, basically trying to have a magazine and a little side hustle, and we started learning about the ongoing closures and threats to the Oceano Dunes by the Sierra Club. Went to a Coastal Commission meeting in what's known as the Valentine's Day Massacre of 2001. And that's where the Sierra Club played a video at the Coastal Commission which really portrayed us off-roaders in an evil light. Wow. It lied and misconstrued the truth. And it was very frustrating. And the Coastal Commission at that meeting took a vote to close the park. That was in 2001. Wow. Luckily, that vote did not stick. But my dad and I, we drove from San Jose down to that hearing in San Luis Obispo, 200 miles. And on the way back, we're in a car talking about, what are we going to do? none of us knew what to do. We definitely knew all the organizations that are out there, like the Corvas, the Cal Fours, and the various other organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote letters to all of them. And one gentleman, the president of the California Off-Road Vehicle Association, a guy by the name of Ed Waldheim, wrote me back. And he says, we need to start a Friends of Oceano Dunes and organize, and that way you have a control of your own destiny and can fight the fight. And so Ed Waldheim and I started the paperwork and grew the organization. We were founded in May of 2001. So we're going on 24 years.
Wow.
And it was funny. I originally told my family that, hey, we'll just start the nonprofit. We'll get it going. We'll let other people do the work, and we'll just throw some money at it once in a while. And unfortunately, that didn't work, and so here we are still fighting it. But I'm still an avid off-roader. In fact, I was in my garage welding and fabricating just a couple hours ago. One of my projects is a Suzuki Samurai that I've been playing with. I also have a Polaris Razor and a sand drag Jeep. So kind of play around in the various. My wife and I do over 1,000 miles of the desert, so ghost towns and mines and other stuff in California, Nevada desert, as well as we're playing all the sand dunes and recreating. So I'll turn it over to Don. That's kind of my story at a high level.
That's awesome. Your Samurai, is it, how modified is your Samurai?
So I just picked this Samurai up, and it's a spring over axle conversion. It's got gears in the transfer case. It's not radical. It's mainly to tow behind the RV to go play on some dirt trails. But man, is it gutless. I think my lawnmower has more horsepower than that thing. It is, from a guy that likes to go fast, it is slow.
Yeah, what is it? 60 horsepower, I think.
60 horsepower on a good day. Yeah.
We know somebody that races
cool.
one of those
races
that can't get the hammers.
Amber Slauson now, but she raced a Samurai for 5 years out at King of the Hammers in a Samurai, and is a good friend of the podcast. So intimately familiar with the Samurai platform.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, Don, what's your background?
Well, first, if Jim ever tells you that something's stock, don't ever believe him. He is yanking your chain. So, my background is I went to Cal Poly and discovered the beach back in 1986. And then we had a mutual friend that I worked with in San Jose at Craig and Auto Parts way a long time ago. And he brought me down one time to go off-roading, and I was a street rodder. I had this really hopped-up 70 Vet and was all into that. And I took one ride in a dune buggy, and that was it. I was hooked. I came home. I sold the Vet. I sold my daily driver, went and bought a Toyota four-wheel drive, bought a Suzuki quad. Yeah, Jim still gives me crap about that all the time. He was a Honda guy. But the Suzuki always ran. And
at the back of the line.
Yeah. Then eventually built my first sand car, and it was a high jumper Sand Sprite 3, mid-engine with a 2180 in it, and been doing sand car things ever since. My current ride is it's kind of a rarity. It's a V8 Rail, which is a company that made a front engine car and specialized in front engine cars. Their whole adage was, if the trophy truck guys can build it in front engine, why can't a sand car do it? So my current rendition of it's a supercharged stroked LS3.
Nice.
It's tuned down to 600 horsepower at the wheels right now. So we both like going fast.
Yeah.
But then Jim and I met, and through this mutual friend, and we started camping together. And next thing you know, he's wrangling me in, and the group needed to figure out a way to raise some money. And I decided that, hey, let's build a giveaway, and let's see if we can do a sand car or a little sand rail thing. So I contacted a few people, and they're like, "Nah, you're never going to get everything donated." went down to the sand show, talked to, at that time, Aaron of PRP fame, Aaron Wedeking, great guy. And he gave us our very first donation, and I took that single donation of 2 seats. And by the end of the show, I had parlayed it into pretty much an entire sand car build.
Wow.
And then we've been doing raffles, or we've done raffles in the past, and we've been doing now these sweepstakes giveaways. And trust me, the sweepstakes giveaways are so much easier to manage. But I focused on the fundraising aspect of it, and I've been kind of doing it ever since. And they talked me into becoming the chairman at one point, and I don't even know how long I've been the chairman for, but I think I joined in, the second year of the organization officially. So, okay. But Jim and I, like he said, our kids grew up together off-roading. All of them learned how to drive on the beach. And we've been kind of lockstep ever since. Ironically, we don't see each other a whole lot during the regular time. We always see each other during, when we're doing either like a podcast or a board meeting, or we go on vacation together. But he's literally one of my best friends on the planet. So it's a really tight relationship. It's great.
Yeah, I could tell with the jabbing there at the beginning. So that's.
So we've been competing. We've been competing
like you and me.
I'm a very sensitive person, so I take his insults very personally. It bothers me.
Yeah, okay. He's usually the first one with the jab.
So. You can tell this is already going to be a fun episode. Yeah. So, real quick, Don. So you mentioned you're kind of the guru of the fundraising. And one of the things obviously fundraising is extremely important for any of these nonprofit organizations because, well, it's the lifeblood of it. It pumps money into the operation to fight the fights that the different organizations we help and to do the stuff. But I guess my question is going to be, throughout the years, have you seen, does it track pretty well with the economy? The donations, the prizes, if you will, are better or worse depending on factors like the economy?
During that 2008 era, when the market crashed pretty hard back then, that was a real time of struggle for us. Prior to that, we had built 5 high-dollar sand cars. At one point we were doing a Desert Dynamics frame with a LS1 from Turnkey, and either Fox or King or Radflow were doing the shocks for us, and we were getting gearboxes from Mendiola and who was Jim? Why am I blanking?
Engines from Turnkey or CBM or tires and wheels and seats. Very high end.
Yeah, everybody was donating, and these are $60,000 sand cars back in the mid 2000s, and then the crash hit, and all of that kind of went away, and so it has been a challenge for us in that we've had to reinvent how we were doing our fundraising. And we began to focus more on the personal or the interactional type of fundraising, where we were doing barbecues and crab feeds and things of that nature, where we could get a mass of people into a building at one point in time, get smaller prizes, but still of equal want and value to the attendees of these events. And those we have found to be extremely beneficial for us to conduct our fundraising in that manner. So we do 2 to 3 events like this a year.
Wow.
Yeah. And our organization is unique in the sense we are a 501c3 nonprofit, which means we're tax exempt and all donations are tax deductible. What's unique about us is we have no real overhead. There's no buildings, there's no vehicles, there's no salaries. We've never paid a salary. We're a 100% volunteer organization. And even most of us, donate our expenses. So if we go to a show, we don't charge the nonprofit, we absorb our own costs. That's how much we believe in the cause. So we're involved in many lawsuits So when you get into these fights to protect access, you either got to do it via political means or legal means. Political is usually faster, but in this environment in our state, the one-party rule, it's very difficult. With a party that wants to outlaw the gasoline engine and generators, it's hard for them to wrap their mind around off-road recreation using gas-burning machines. So that leaves the legal side, which is very expensive. We're in 11 lawsuits currently, and we burn about $20,000 to $30,000 a month. Wow. So it's an incredible churn. And thank goodness for Don and the rest of our board of directors and all our volunteers to help us raise the funds to keep the fight going.
Wow, that is crazy. That's a large number.
Yeah, it is.
So, talk about. I don't know. I guess kind of you talked about how it started, but like 24 years ago now, what you were fighting for, still fighting for the same thing now? I mean, how has this thing evolved and gotten to 11 lawsuits and 20 to 30K a month?
Right. So we often say that we are working to protect what we have and regain what we've lost. Right. As I mentioned, as a child enjoying the 20 miles of coastline and the 18,000 acres, to see that close down was devastating. It was really hard as somebody that loves that place to see it close down. So our fight has been constant to protect what we have, and we've had a tremendous amount of attacks such as endangered species. The western snowy plover, the California least tern, the tidewater goby, the brown pelican. We had local doctors try to claim that children were being injured and killed out on the dunes, and that they should stop children from riding or playing out there. And then one of the most recent attacks has been on dust, airborne particulate blowing downwind of the Oceano dunes. They keep attacking us from multiple angles, and it's just been a constant struggle to try to stay in front of it. But the hard part is, in any one of these groups, is we're usually very reactionary. Somebody files a lawsuit, somebody does something, and then we react. It's very hard to be aggressive and out front and leading the fight because it's not always financially viable to do so. And luckily, we started, I think 3 years ago, a very large lawsuit, which is pure offense, which is called the Implied Dedication Quiet Title Lawsuit, which is phenomenal argument. And the law basically says that if the public used private property prior to 1973 for a 5-year time period, and the private property owner didn't condone it, didn't try to stop it, and just it happened, then you've established an implied dedication to that property. So the Coastal Commission and environmental groups have used this argument successfully to regain access to the coastline. They've protected trails and hiking trails and destinations. So we flipped that argument, and at the Oceano Dunes, if you guys have been around a while, huge history of recreation going on there for over 100 years.
Yeah.
So we started and we identified 145 parcels of land in the Oceano Dunes area, and we've documented historical use going all the way back to the 1940s. We've got videos in the 50s, numerous magazines, pictures, and all kinds of stuff. We have a huge database. We've already done witness depositions for about 30 different people. Several of them are in their 90s. Two have already died.
Oh, geez.
One, Evelyn Tallman, was just inducted into the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. So I went gave a speech on her behalf there. I think it was October. So this lawsuit is ongoing right now as we speak. It goes before a judge in October of this year, although it's looking like it might postpone yet again. And in this lawsuit, so not only have we identified 145 parcels of land, which is huge, because usually when you deal with these lawsuits of similar, it's one parcel of land for a hiking trail or something. So 145 parcels. And then we are going against Phillips 66, the refinery back at the back of the dunes, California State Parks, California Coastal Commission, San Luis Obispo County, Air Pollution Control District, and I'm forgetting one. So huge deep pocket people that we're suing that live on our tax dollars to work to close the park. And so we are combating those agencies.
Wow, that is crazy. Well, yeah, kind of cool. Got to flip their narrative there and use it against them. Oh boy. Yeah. You mentioned the dust particle thing that went off during COVID, right? When the park was closed, and if I remember right, they were doing all these studies, and the particulate or the particulate in the air, or whatever, silica and all that, was higher when there was nobody out on the dunes. Correct?
So. Yes and no, and that's where we got dueling scientists is where it gets confusing. So the whole dust art issue, because you brought up silica, started with a radical air pollution control officer who claimed that silica was blowing downwind, which will cause silicosis, a very harmful disease. He made the claim without any facts. They later studied it and found that there's no harmful silica going downwind. So that whole argument was thrown out.
Right.
So, but then we're stuck now with dust blowing downwind, which, guess what? When the wind blows, dust happens just about anywhere.
Yeah.
So during COVID, to your point, if you look at the even in the air pollution control officer filed the name escapes me, wow.
Good thing this is edited.
Yeah. So, it'll come to me in a second. They filed this form of protection over the dunes, and in there it talks about the windy months, which are basically May, June, July, August. So those 4 months. But when they studied the data during COVID, because the park was closed during COVID, and you read their report, they said they looked over the 9 months of data, and if you throw out September, it shows that it's higher. But if you just look at those 4 months, which are the windy months, it was lower. So it's how you look at the data, how you slice and dice it, and that's where it gets to be very, very frustrating.
Yeah, to say the least. Oh man.
And well, let me kind of add to this. Jim referred back to that one person who was claiming that there was silica in the air. What makes it the most challenging for us is that somebody can say something in an open session, represent a legal body or a legal governing body of sorts, and they can say it. They don't have to back it up. It can be considered as truthful, and then we have to turn around and we can't just say, no, you're wrong. Your science is terrible. How did you come up with that? We have to go prove that in court.
Jeez.
And that's where they try, it's all of these atrocities where you can see over the years how many times personal agendas have played a role in policy governing the beach and how it gets managed. Now then add a an administration at in Sacramento that doesn't want us there at all. And even if we come out and say, hey guys, this is not truthful, they really don't care. So we have to go put it in front of a judge, and then it has to get proven, and then okay, the arguments are thrown out. Meanwhile, they've taken that time period that it takes to hear all of those things in a court, and they keep enacting other restrictions, adding more fencing, adding more areas of closing off more areas. And it's this, Jim coined it as a death by 1,000 fences.
Right.
And it's true. It's just they continue to compress, and their tactics are compress us to the point where we just don't have anything to fight for anymore.
Right.
And string us out and try and bankrupt us with all of these different things that they're fighting, throwing at us. To just try and stop us from moving forward. So Jim talked about, us being reactionary. Yeah, we spent 22 years of being purely reactionary. Oh, they closed something else. Okay, we got to do another lawsuit. Here comes another thing, another lawsuit. The one that we talked about, this big one, the applied dedication quiet title one, this thing's got big teeth, and they're afraid of it. And we know that they're afraid of it. And it's great because we have taken their argument, flipped it on its head.
Sure.
And we think that they don't have a defense for it. So these are all good things. It's been a lot of fun over the past year and a half or 2 years, because it's a much different slice of the pie when you're on the other side.
Sure.
On the offensive instead of being on the defensive.
Correct. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, so the term I fumbled earlier was an abatement order. So the Air Pollution Control Officer filed an abatement order that you have to abate the dust and mitigate it. And so they've been doing that by various methods, which has closed a lot of acreage out in the dunes, which is extremely frustrating to all of us.
So what is the current acreage now from the 18,000 original acres?
Well, it used to be 18,000 acres, and then when the park was established in 1982, they established what was known as the General Development Plan, which has set aside 1,500 acres for camping and OHV recreation. And that 1,500 acres has now been whittled down to about 800 acres.
Jeez.
It's almost cut in half. And wow. And they would keep cutting it if they had their way. The other point that most people don't really appreciate is you have the local state parks group that manages the operation of the park, the maintenance people, the rangers, the people there. But the people in Sacramento, the political appointees, are the driving force, and they are being directed to take a very aggressive stance. So if those folks aren't familiar with the organization in the state, you currently have Gavin Newsom as the governor. He then has the head of resources, California Resources, a guy by the name of Wade Crowfoot. Underneath Wade Crowfoot, you have state parks and you have the Coastal Commission and other agencies. So as taxpayers, everybody should be extremely frustrated when you see California Coastal Commission and California State Parks, two state entities that we pay for, fighting for over the management and operation of the park. And 3 years ago, the California Coastal Commission voted to close the park.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We rallied. We filed 3 lawsuits. Another group called Ecologic filed a lawsuit. All 4 lawsuits were merged together, and we won in the court of law. It said that the Coastal Commission overreached their authority. Coastal Commission appealed that decision, and we just went before a judge February 11th, so just last month. It's a 3-panel judge down in Irvine, and we're waiting for that final decision. But by all indications, at that hearing, we are expecting a winning verdict. We'd be very surprised if it was not a winning verdict. Right. So that is good. So that means the park will not close due to those actions. So now we need to follow up on our other actions to try to protect what we have and expand what we've lost. Other things we've done in the past, we delisted the California brown pelican from the endangered species list. That was a big endeavor that we took on many, many years ago, almost about 15 years ago now. And we're always actively watching the endangered species at the park to see if there's an opportunity to delist those. So we have multiple irons of the fire at all different times, and just working through any fight that comes before us.
Yeah. So you say delisting, so taking them off that endangered species list for the park. So is that by counts, or how do you go about doing that?
So for the California brown pelican, for every endangered species, they establish the current numbers and then the goal for which they want to achieve to say it is stable and healthy and therefore can be delisted. And they usually have to reach a level and then stay there for a few years to stabilize it and make sure it's fine. Okay. So years ago, we found that the California brown pelican met the threshold, and so we filed suit and were victorious to get the California brown pelican delisted. And so that was good. Anytime you can, the environmentalists do not want to necessarily delist a species. They like those protocols. They like all the incentives they get. And so it was a battle, but we won the day.
That's awesome. Yeah. Are you seeing any traction with this new government we got here, the new president, because he put the California Coastal Commission on blast after the fires in L.A.? Are you seeing any traction there of them backing down a little bit or anything?
It's a little early to tell. We are still very optimistic. There are many people who enjoy the Oceano dunes, some high-level politicians that are in earshot of President Trump, that their families enjoy the Oceano dunes. Know this for a fact. The Coastal Commission attacked Elon Musk, so Elon Musk is not happy. They tried to stop his rocket launches and pointed out on the record their dismay for his political activities is one of the reasons why they wanted to shut him down. So that raised the ire of him. And then, during the fires, there was definitely an impact from the Coastal Commission. Gavin Newsom liked to say that, the Coastal Commission is not going to impede the rebuilding of from all the wildfires. And that's partially true because that's already written into the law. So he's taking credit for something that was already there, that due to a natural disaster, you can, bypass some of those things. Mm-hmm. But it's made the awareness of the public of what's going on. And so I'm really hopeful that future federal funding might have some hooks in it to try to drive actions that are more supportive of what we want to do.
Perfect. That's great. So, talking about all this money, $20,000 to $30,000 a month to keep fighting the good fight, as I like to say. Right. You guys got an event coming up, Dezertfest fundraiser at Lasertown down there in Johnson Valley.
Lasertown.
So, how did all that come about, and what's that going to entail?
So we've done quite a few big events in the past. We used to do a big event at the down in the Farm Bureau, and so we're leveraging our experience from some of those events. And really got to give a shout out to a couple of our board of directors, Jared McLeod and Randy Emsley, who really pushed this to take advantage of their connections with Cody Wagner at Lasertown and try to ride some of the hype that comes after King of the Hammers, and so see if we can't use this in a way to benefit us and Cody Wagner has been very generous in giving us a discounted rate, and so we're working hard. We've got bands coming into play Friday and Saturday night. We're gonna have food vendors there. We got a vendor coming out with a beer truck, which I'm hoping to park my seat somewhere close to him, and we're just going to have a great time. We're going to be giving away a lot of different things. We just all kinds of vendors have really stepped up to be a part of this and provide products that we can raffle off and give away. And there's going to be a lot of family activities, and we're going to have bounce house for the kids, and it's really family focused, having a good time and enjoying Johnson Valley and off-roading and recreating up there. So we're really looking forward to it.
That's right cool. On. Is there going to be like any organized rides or anything, or people just kind of on their own to go out and go wheeling around?
There's going to be several organized trailhead rides, but people can also do their free-for-all activity as well.
Sure.
Cool.
You're going to say something?
So that's.
There's the kind of the two big things that we have teed up for that weekend is first our big current sweepstakes that we have right now going on with this mini RCR. It's fully electric, street legal 3-wheeler. These things rip. They're a handful, and we were fortunate enough to have one donated to us, and then OMF did some really cool custom wheels for us. So we got some American Off-Road, some lights from them. 5150 donated some cool whips, and we got some wrap on it, and it's a fully done up Oceano Dunes style RCR. So we're excited about that. That culminates there at the event, and we will pull the winner for that that vehicle at the event. And then we're going to debut something that I don't think anybody has any clue of how cool this is going to be. I'm not going to tell anybody because otherwise, what's the point of,
the surprises,
but wait till you see what we're going to unwrap there at the event. It is insane. So I'm just going to leave that little teaser, but
there you go.
Everybody and anybody's going to want to get in on this one.
Wow.
So,
okay.
You heard it here on Wheeling Wine and Whiskey.
That's right.
RCR3.
So obviously, fun.
Wild.
No, go ahead.
We got a.
Noted. We have a little bit of a lag happening here. You were saying about the RCR3.
Yeah, bad lag. So that RCR 3, I got to see, because the infamous Ultra 3 race that goes on there at King of the Hammers. So on a Tuesday night, so Monday, they did the ride to the 40 and Lasertown. And Blake Wilkie was riding one of those bad boys. And I was like, what the heck is this? And then so I got to check that thing out, and it's pretty badass.
And most people don't really appreciate how cool these things are. Anywhere a bicycle can go, they can go. So, if you want to ride this thing across the Golden Gate Bridge, or you want to ride it through a drive-through, or, in a park, it's legal as a bicycle.
Like an electric bike. No kidding.
It has pedals on it, so it is registered as a bicycle.
That's cool.
I love it.
How fast does that thing go? Does it go like 30, 40, 50? Or
stock is, don't quote me on this, I want to say it's 20, but then there's a program to kick it up to quite a bit higher than that.
Yeah, it could go. I know Blake.
Wear a helmet, boys and girls. Wear a helmet.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Right on. And then, so camping and all that at Lasertown, everything's happening at Lasertown there. How do people sign up and find out more about this? And if you can't make it, donate. What's going on?
Well,
they can go to our.
Go ahead, Jim. All right, I'll go. What the heck? You can go right to our webpage, oceanodunes.org, and there's a link where you can sign up for camping. And the camping includes like an RV or trailer, dinner for one, and then additional people are a small fee on top of that. But the camping includes the Friday night, Saturday, and we have to exit by, I think, noon on Sunday. We got to be out of there.
Okay.
But it's the 2 nights of camping. The Friday night, Jim mentioned the live band that we have coming in, plus a hosted happy hour at our tiki bar, the Friends of Oceano Dunes Tiki Bar. And then Saturday's the big dinner, full custom barbecue, catered right there, cooked right there, and then we'll do some live auctions, give away some really cool stuff, raffle prizes, all of that, and then everybody hopefully just sitting around kicking it at a campfire, drinking whiskey, maybe sipping a little wine, and having a good time.
Got my attention.
That's
good. Sign me up.
Oh, wow. So,
and then you can also get tickets for that RCR from our webpage as well.
Okay.
Oh, no kidding.
OceanoDunes.org.
OceanoDunes.org. Okay, so go there, get tickets. Don't need to be present to win?
That's correct.
No.
Okay. Yep. So there you go. Cool. So how many people are you expecting to this shindig?
I haven't heard the latest numbers, but we're expecting a pretty good crowd.
Okay. All right.
We're hoping to get to 250 campers.
Okay.
So that would mean a fairly large number of people. If we can get 250, we've hit our mark. So
awesome.
And we're getting there.
We've had quite a few people saying they're going to drive out for the day or just stop in. So we're still hoping for our first event doing this one. We're pleased so far.
And what's the dates on that?
April 4th, 5th, and 6th.
April 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Or do I have it wrong? It was the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Hold on.
5th, 6th. Okay.
2 weeks.
What's that
coming
Friday?
Up in 2 short weeks.
5th, 6th, and 7th.
It's going to come out Tuesday.
5th, 6th, and 7th, yeah.
Well, the website's wrong.
Oh.
Looking at the website right now, it says...
Nope, it is. It's the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Friday's the 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
April
the first
4th,
weekend in
6th.
April.
I was right to start with. See, I shouldn't have doubted myself.
Everybody wants the best information. Go to oceanodunes.org. Oceanodunes.org. You get the latest information, the most accurate information there. And Dezertfest, Dezertfest, Lasertown, Johnson Valley, California, where dreams come true.
Dreams do come true there. First weekend in April. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, people can also check us out on our Facebook page as well as our Instagram. We've developed a pretty good following, but as far as nonprofits go. But we're always looking forward to getting other people involved and hearing what we're doing and being a part of this journey.
Yeah. How many people on the board there? What's your team look like?
It's small.
Well, I know Jim. You mentioned.
So we have Jim. Jim's our president and one of the founders. Myself. We have Jared McLeod, who's one of our VPs.
I've met
Randy Emsley.
Yep.
We have Rob Hunter's our chief operating officer, and his wife Cheryl is our treasurer. And then we have a gal named Stacia Tiller, who is the niece of one of our original founding members. So,
wow. Cool.
And Jim's sister's been on the board at one point. We've had, it's been a kind of a family affair. It's a tight knit group of people. The cool part is we all go vacation together. It's not just this thing to try and save the beach. We also like hanging out with each other, which makes it even more fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
We rope in the whole family. So
I was gonna say it becomes a family business.
It really does.
Yeah, if you're married to one of us, it's like, hey, that's part of it. You signed on the dotted line. That's part of the gig.
I love it.
Person, for sure.
That's great.
All the family.
Yeah. So, future updates. So it would be good and to reach our audience who, avid off-roaders, whether it be, rock, sand, whatever. But I know I love it out there. Pismo, as I called it, I still call it Pismo. It will always be Pismo to me, but Oceano Dunes is a cool spot, man. And we've done a lot of recreating out there, and in the Jeeps, dirt bikes. I've got a side-by-side now that I haven't had out there, so I'd like to get that out there. I got paddle tires for that. Took it out to the Oregon sand dunes last year.
Yeah.
I'd love to get out to Oceano Dunes there. So we can do some future updates, little segments, if you will. Whoever you guys jump on and.
Happy to do it. And for the audience listening, some may not know or appreciate what this means. So the Oceano Dunes, or Pismo, it used to be called the Pismo Dunes State Vehicle Recreation Area until the locals said, hey, there's no dunes in Pismo. All the dunes are in Oceano Dunes. And so they renamed it to the Oceano Dunes.
Okay.
But many of the folks still, me included, talk about Pismo or the beach or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I want your audience to know and appreciate, if this park closes, all these visitors are going to go to your other destination, your other place that you like. And it's going to, there's 2 million annual visitors. And those people, those users, are going to go to other trails or other locations and impact other areas. Plus, whatever fight argument that they use is going to be used in these other areas. So if you've never been to the dunes or you don't care about the dunes, it's still going to impact you. We as off-roaders really have to be united as one body to protect our sport. And so I really encourage all to get involved in organizations, whether it's Cal4 or Corva. If you care about certain local sites like the Oceano Dunes, come join us. There's other friends of groups. Get out. Don't sit on your hands. You got to be active in this. That's one negative of off-roaders sometimes. They like to hunker down in the garage and work on their toys and don't look out to see what's going on in the fights to protect these areas. And get involved. Get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminded me of a statement. I'm not going to say it verbatim probably, but Ben Burr from the Blue Ribbon Coalition, he's like, we have such a huge network and force in the off-road community, but we, whatever reason, we don't use that. We need to be more vocal and tell our story. And we're hearing that more and more, and it's becoming very important, imperative that we do that if we want to continue to recreate in these vehicles that we're wrenching on in our garages and stuff out on all these great areas that we have available to us right now.
Absolutely. So, and the best way to protect these things and to help with the fight is money. I've heard people, say, this, that, the other thing, a lot of lip service, but the best way, because they have to pay for, lobbyists, attorneys, and so forth. And that takes money. So donate, whatever you can, 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, 500, whatever you feel you can afford. But all these agencies, organizations, yours too, require money to fight the fight, to fund the fight.
Absolutely. Organizations like ours, where we don't pay any salaries, really 100% of the money donated goes to the fight. And that's what is so unique about us, that we volunteer our time and labor and efforts and our money to try to keep this park open for the public. So people need to get out in when you're camped. Sometimes you just need to walk to the next camp next to you. Try to get them educated, because we're finding that there's so many new people coming into the sport. I grew up in the old days, you built your toy, whether it's a Jeep or a dune buggy, and now anybody can go down with a credit card and go buy a 200 horsepower side-by-side and a truck and a trailer. And they don't have the etiquette, or they didn't grow up in the sport, or they don't know what's going on. So we as a public unity need to reach out to those people and try to educate them, bring them to the fold and get them involved.
That's a great point. Absolutely. Yeah. And then if people like Chris that have just bags of money around his house, how do they donate to you? They can just go to your website or?
Chris, I'm glad you are stepping up to write that big fat check or a credit card. You can go right to oceanodunes.org, and at the bottom there's a donate button.
Okay.
And you can donate via PayPal. You can write a check. Any donation gets a receipt back, so you can claim on your taxes. Or you can go to, as Don mentioned, our sweepstakes, and you can enter to win that awesome little 3-wheeler. And I really wish I could enter. Board members can't enter in any of our sweepstakes events. That is one that would be really cool, because I'd love to take that from in town and run it right down the beach from the pier all the way down, and just have a blast. So that's a really cool one, and we'll be unveiling the next big giveaway. We're really excited about that. I want to give a shout out to some of our key business sponsors that we've had over the years.
Absolutely.
Greg Cottrell at Rugged Radios. The guy has been phenomenal support, a mentor. The guy is a marketing genius, and that is not my forte. And he always chides me on how you market and do all this. And that's something I'm not. I'm the detailed, technical, political, legal guy, not the marketing genius.
We don't let Jim talk to the public. We try not to, at least.
Yeah. Jim Tuck at Epic RV Liquidators has always been a great supporter. PRP Seats, as Don mentioned earlier. Some of these guys have been around for literally, a decade or two, and just been great supporters. Old Juan's Cantina right there in Pure Avenue, great little Mexican restaurant, and Mario's at the you foodies and you want some drinks. Old Juan's and Mario's with the railroad car diner.
Right.
Fabulous food. So there's just a lot of people involved. Don, am I missing any of our big guys?
Well, we've got, OMF has been throwing us wheels for decades, literally. American Off-Road, 5150 Whips. The list just goes on. Without these people buying into the program and understanding exactly what their donations mean, we're not here today. And a lot of it goes back to those original folks like Mendiola and Weddell Gears and all those people who in the early 2000s literally threw down tens of thousands of dollars worth of donations to us in parts and stuff to build those original cars way back then. But, Jim mentioned Greg from Rugged. He donated a general RZR or RZR General to us. Wow. And that was huge. That's a big chunk of donation. Sure. And that was done in part with Polaris, and we are forever grateful with Polaris and Rugged for all of their efforts. So no donation is too large or too small.
Sure.
We will gladly take anybody's assistance.
Fantastic.
And I think something the public needs to appreciate to your listeners. Sometimes I think that the big names, the Fords, the Chevys, the Hondas, the Polaris, all these people need to get involved and do something. And I agree, I'm with you, but they're not. And if you ask them, they'll say, we're donating to this group or Tread Lightly or other things. But there's no big money out there that's supporting these people. It's usually on the backs of the users and the manufacturers of the add-on parts that are really supporting these fights. So get involved. And if somebody's listening, we often talk kind of like what our church does. There's time, talent, and treasure. So if you got time to donate, whether it's attend meetings, write letters, do something, great, jump in. Talent. Sometimes people can write letters. Sometimes they're gifted speakers or can donate a podcast like this. I just wish I had some whiskey to go with the podcast right now, but I don't. And then treasure, those financial donations. and you can even donate old cars and boats and everything else, and those can be auctioned off or something to raise money. So as a 501c3, we can do those things. But my message to my off-road brethren is get involved, because people love King of the Hammers. They see these massive crowds. The Oceano Dunes, or Pismo, was that in the 60s. Mm-hmm. It was magazine spreads that we have copies of, and they used to do sand drags, hill climbs, and obstacle course racings in the 60s. And this is where the people went. And now look at it. So if you're not involved, King of the Hammers could go the way of Oceano Dunes if we're not careful. Yeah. So people just need to.
That's a good point, because as we've said, these 8 organizations that are fighting against us to close the land off, they are well funded, they are relentless, and they just don't stop. And once they get something, they move on to the next thing and the next thing. I look at Idaho, look at Utah, look at California. They don't stop. And if we don't fight back and try to keep these areas open, 10, 15, 20 years from now, we'll all be standing around with no place to recreate, and that'd be a travesty.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right, Chris. It's like a religion to them. You start digging down and seeing where their fundings are coming from, or they're getting tax credits for the Green New Deal or other things. They are very well funded, and they're always on offense. You don't really put an organization like Center for Biological Diversity or the Sierra Club on defense, right? They're suing on offense to these other agencies, state parks and others, but you don't really put them on defense. So it's a different and difficult fight to have. And we in the OHV leadership and land use advocates, unfortunately, are, as I mentioned earlier, very much flatlined and reactionary. And I don't see any really aggressive organizations going on offense to open more lands and do more things. Part of it is due to funding. Part of it is just not having the manpower. So, us taking this huge lawsuit on for this implied dedication, huge endeavor. If and when we win that fight, hopefully that'll set a precedent for other people to go document historical use and try to open up more areas that were once used by the public.
Yeah,
right 100%.
On. Man, hey, thank you on behalf of our listeners and Chris and I for fighting the good fight here and putting this together. Yeah. I didn't realize you'd been doing it for 24 years. That's quite a statement right there, and definitely dedicated. So Friends of Oceano Dunes on IG. You've got a Facebook page. You've got your oceanodunes.org for signing up for the Dezertfest coming up the first weekend of April, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
At Lasertown.
Cody, thanks for hooking them up. And hopefully that generates a lot of money for you guys. And then people like Chris that have mayonnaise jars buried in the backyard, they can bury one of those and go straight to oceanodunes.org and hit the donate button and donate. Man, is there anything we're missing at this juncture? Because I know we're going to revisit again here. I'd like to get some, quarterly updates or whatever to keep our listeners informed and, fresh on the front of their mind when they do hit that jackpot or something and want to put some money to a good use.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure it's mayonnaise jars. It might be moonshine jars. We'll take it in any shape or form. But we greatly appreciate this opportunity. We're more than happy to come back and give any updates on what's going on with our fight. Really hope to see people out of Dezertfest. Please come up and see Don and I and say hello. And maybe at the afternoon or evening hours around the campfire, we can have a drink together. It's going to be a good time. And if you see us out in the dunes, I'm usually the one beating Don, but hopefully it stays that way.
Hey, whoa. Back that truck up there, Sparky. Last time we raced, And I've got the video of it. I've got you by almost 2 car lengths.
Ooh.
So,
Video
and that was at Dumont. So, anyway.
Friendly rivalries. Love it. Right on. Good. Well, good stuff. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on and spreading your messages. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for all your dedication.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. All right, Chris, with that,
we're out.